Digital technologies are things from our cell phones to our laptops to the tiniest little things that you can imagine in the world, like the size of my freckle, if you can see it there, to robots that we use to purchase our groceries now in supermarkets. It's insane the length and the depth that these new technologies are influencing our everyday lives and the way our businesses are operating with one another. The disruption that it's causing is immense. The disruption, sure, could be a positive thing, but if you look at it on a larger scale, the disruption that they're causing is, one, a loss of jobs, two, the way we're interacting with one another and the way we're transmitting information. The use of cookies with online shopping and websites is insane. When I scroll down my Facebook, there's this dress you were looking at 2 days ago. It's on sale now. Like, you can't escape your own data. It's catalogued and characterized in these weird offshore little boxes, and you just don't know where they're going and when they're going to pop up. It's either on your Facebook stream, on your Instagram stream, or your email address. Your life online is literally documented, filed, and stored. It's there forever. Digital disruption is a trend that's affecting all areas of our society, from the way we shop, the way we interact with one another, the way our businesses interact with consumers, and the way our businesses interact with one another. It's an area that's just of growing concern for both businesses and consumers, which is all derived from nanotechnologies, which, once again, like I said, is from something this small. Tiny. It's the tiniest little chip implemented into this big, massive robot. And it's taken away jobs. It's changed the structural output of how we are interacting with our retailing system. Digital disruption, like I said before, is a trend affecting society, but the way it's affecting society is both a positive and a negative. Like, the way we as consumers are interacting with our businesses is completely changing from, instead of a normalised concept of B2B, we've got a B2C. So businesses have caught on to the trend and are now restructuring their aged or classic business models to relate directly to the consumer wants and needs, and rather than basically saying what a consumer wants and needs, the businesses are looking at what they want and what they need, if that makes sense. So there are a multitude of implications for this growing trend. If you just look at the way we used to order taxis, we had to stand on the side of the road and be like, "Hey mate, can I have a cab please?" And they'll just whiz straight past you. But now all you have to do is whip out your phone, open up Uber, and you're like, ding, he's outside and he's calling you and he's like, "Hey miss, I'm on the road, where you at?" Or if you want a meal, you used to have to truck on your best outfit, look all fancy, do your hair, and waltz down to a restaurant. But now you can just Uber it. Honestly, the way technology is influencing the way we are living our lives is insane. I, for instance, live in a flat. I don't want to cook every night. I'm a student. I'm lazy as hell. I'm totally the cliche of my age group. I live and breathe Uber Eats, which is probably the worst thing to do in the world. It's not the healthiest diet to live by. But these are all factors that contribute to massive health concerns that New Zealand has. And I'm totally going off track, I know, but the way digital disruption is impacting everyday life for consumers is contributing to these massive health factors and risks, with New Zealand being, I think it's number 3 in the obesity scale of the world, which is disgusting because we're one of the smallest nations. Okay, sorry, lost my track. We'll go back to digital technology. But like I was saying, the way that this technology is impacting our everyday lives, from our own interactions with businesses and the way businesses are interacting with us and one another, is just mind-blowing. These technologies are going to continue to grow and improve, and these are just structures that current day businesses need to latch onto and implement into their business models. Because if you don't, running the risk of being left behind. And for businesses to be left behind, then they become forgotten and their staff get made redundant, and it's just this growing cycle of disappointment. So to understand and implement these technologies into business practices is crucial for businesses to succeed in their markets in the future and in today's age. Fortunately for me and my generation, we grew up with the emerging markets of technologies. We grew up with PlayStations, we grew up with the invention of Wii, we grew up with the invention of the iPhone, the iPod, and these were all things that were valid and current in our whole childhood. So we know how to use these tools and utilize them to an extent where we can market and get in touch with our right consumer base. And this is why the generations like the millennials, Generation Y, Generation X, and even Z are kind of dominating the marketing and advertising retailing sectors of the industry today. And also why we're getting such bad rap from the age groups prior to us. I don't want to sound like an ageist, not at all, and I'm sorry if I do, but the way we were brought up with these emerging technologies and the way that they were included in our childhood and in our way of learning and education just amplifies the fact that we are probably the generations to have the most input and useful knowledge surrounding how to implement them. And this is such a cliche, and it totally contradicts me saying I'm not trying to be ageist. But it's like teaching an old dog new tricks. Like, for instance, trying to teach my dad how to use his iPhone is the most lengthy and long period thing of my life. But that's just one of the most simple terms of the new digital market. Digital disruption is an area of business, society, and is a growing trend that's going to affect us currently and in the future. It's a trend that needs to be adopted, adapted, and implemented into every area of business, everyday life, and the way we interact with our society.